Hi, we're back. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium, and I have with us today a special guest. This is Chris. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing very well, Holly. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm glad the big frost is over and we're getting some more spring-like weather. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty excited.
I'm from the north. I'm from the northeast, so I'm kind of used to the frost and the cold and
Yeah,
complaining about 18 degrees and minus 10, and I'm like, well, it's not too bad, if the sun's out.
exactly, exactly. I'm actually from the Midwest. I was born in Chicago.
Oh,
And
so you
so,
know about it.
yeah, so being out in Washington is really kind of awesome because the climate is so mild here. I don't think much about it, but yeah, but it's been kind of different. We had a long winter, I think, so this is kind of nice. We're getting a little bit of spring weather already, so that's pretty awesome. So
Nice.
I understand you have a lot of different experiences in the paranormal that you're going to share with us today. So I'm excited. So tell me how you got started in the paranormal, or what really brought it forefront in your life.
So when I was young, um, I always had these feelings, like you were scared. There was this one particular house that I lived in when I was, I'd say, 3 or 4 years old. And I would never want to go into the basement. Never. My parents couldn't get me into the basement. I would never even go down into the basement. And I remember one night I was sleeping in my bed and I woke up and I'm looking and I see like a Scooby Doo ghost, like full sheet apparition,
Oh,
and
wow.
and it's floating towards,
Okay.
and I can still see it. I can vividly see it in my head right now what I'm looking, and it's
Wow.
just like the Scooby Doo ghost, like the full apparition sheet and all.
Wow.
And I remember just pulling the sheets over my head and saying, just, screaming for my parents and screaming for my parents. And they finally came in, and this was the same house with the basement. And I don't know how long I was so little, down the line. One night I woke up and I looked over the side of my bed, and there was just like these little worms started crawling up through the hardwood on the floor.
Whoa.
I can still picture them. They look like those, those worms that get in the animals. What do they call them? The spot bot worms or spot. I don't know what they're called.
Okay. I don't know what they're called
But
either.
yeah,
Okay.
they look just like them. And I can remember
Whoa.
seeing them coming up through the stair, up through the hardwood floor.
Right.
Shortly after that, we moved from that house. I don't know if there was more activity. Now both my parents passed when I was like 18 years old.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
now that all this has come back to me, I had no chance to ask them if they ever experienced anything at that house.
Sure.
Um, so we'll move down the line. So this stuff has happened all my life, and I guess there's a reason for it now that I have just recently found out. But I was 10 years old, and I was working for my father's boss, just like clearing sticks and twigs off of the trail. He had trails out in back of his house, and this was during the 70s. I'm 54 years old, and so I remember doing all the clearing off the branches, and I turn around and he says he's going to go to the house and get a drink. So uh, I turn around and I watch him walk out of the forest, and then all of a sudden the forest just closed in. It just closed in on me, like I had the feeling of dread. It was like something was watching me, something was
Wow.
there with me, and it just closed right in on me. So that feeling from the couple experiences I had when I was a young came back to me
Oh,
when
wow.
when I had my first Sasquatch experience. I had the same feeling of that fear or whatever that was, and I remember
Uh-huh.
it when I was 10 years old, how I felt that day when I felt something was, and then I never ever thought about it again after that day until that first Sasquatch experience I had.
Sure, sure. So did you see the Sasquatch at that time, or was it just a sense that you had
When I was older or younger?
when you were 10?
When I was 10, no, it was just that feeling. It just that
Oh, wow.
feeling that something was watching me, that something was there with me when he left. And
Okay.
then when I first started doing the Sasquatch, I've been doing it for 8 years now. I had
Okay.
one walk up to a tent and huff on the side of my face,
Oh my gosh.
and my hair would stand. Like I say, my hair is standing right up just talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And I remember that feeling, and it all came back to me that day I was in the forest. Was it the Sasquatch that was in the forest that day? I mean, I can't tell you, and I can't
Right.
tell you if it was definitely a Sasquatch that huffed on the side of my face that night. I never saw it. I listened to it walk up to the tent, and
Hmm.
we had the rain gear off, and I know if I looked up, I could see whatever was there. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't.
Yeah.
But after that experience, I shook for about 20 minutes.
I
Just
bet.
sat there and shook, pale white. And that was the beginning of all the craziness that's happened in the last 8 years.
Wow. So now when you were 10 years old and you kind of have this flashback from even younger years, did you talk to anybody about that when that happened? Did you share anything?
No, I never reached out to anybody. When I first started the Sasquatch, it was all flesh and blood to me. They were just an animal that was living in the woods that could hide.
Okay.
That's the way
Okay.
I reacted. And I never really thought about the paranormal too much. I didn't know it was, I don't know. I just didn't think that, I don't even know how to explain it. I didn't think it was, I didn't put one. All right. Well, okay. Here we go. I didn't put one and one together.
Okay.
I didn't put that they could be related. And I didn't put that I could experience them over and over and over again over the years due to what's inside of me now, what my abilities are. I've been recently told that I have like psychic abilities. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how to use it. I don't know anything about it. I just was told that. So they told me that's the reason why I'm having these interactions throughout my life. I've had doorknobs shake in my grandmother's house when I was probably 20 years old. I was staying there. We were building a new home.
Okay.
We were living there and heard footsteps come down the hallway. And then all of a sudden the door handle just went just violently shaking back and forth. And I'm like, is that you, Aunt Millie? Is that you, Grandma? Who's out there?
Right.
No answer. And then the doorknob stopped. And then you heard the footsteps go back down the hall. So look at so you guys are getting me all going. My head.
Now, where were you when this happened? What state were you in when this happened?
I'm in Connecticut. This is where.
Connecticut. Yep. Okay. Now, did all these experiences happen in Connecticut?
The paranormal ones so far have been in Connecticut, and the first Sasquatch was in Missouri.
Okay.
I've traveled to Colorado, New Mexico, Canada, in pursuit of the Sasquatch phenomenon. Just to try and find answers, and I've had interactions in every state I visited.
Yeah.
Every state.
That's pretty incredible, and that's unique, I would think, because I haven't met too many people that have had experiences like that can say that they've had it everywhere that they've been. So I do think that there's a connection to you clearly, Chris, that you're having these on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's getting crazier every year. Ever since Florida, I had an experience in the Florida Green Swamp with my friend Chris. I went down there and again, looking for Sasquatch. We had the craziest stuff go on. And ever since that day, I've been catching EVPs up here. I had to have my house blessed. I had a lot of crazy stuff go. I had 3 scratches on my inner arm. My grandchildren live with me. They were seeing monsters in the corners. I mean, we had like an attachment come home with me from the swamp. Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, so can you go back a minute and let's elaborate what happened in Florida?
Okay, so my buddy his name's Chris Connor, and he has a YouTube channel called The Trail to Bigfoot, and he invited me down to his area to go looking for Sasquatch. So he's the one that actually got me thinking that there's more to the Sasquatch than just them being a monkey in the forest. And now to this day, there's no doubt in my mind that there's way more to them than just a monkey.
Okay.
So he introduced me to the art. We started using RF meters.
Okay.
And, Geiger counters and stuff like that were in our backpack. And he's the one that introduced that to me. So I'm down there and we're being followed. We're being trailed in. And we get to his area where he gifts. You trade with the Sasquatch. It's
right.
I traded with them here for 6 years myself. And he had a spot called the fridge. And that's where we went. We went to that spot, to the fridge, and he took out the RF meter and it starts topping out. It's like it shouldn't top out. I'll tell you the story after we get through with it. But
Okay.
this meter is a broadband meter. So for it to top out, you're getting readings that shouldn't be in the forest at all.
Right.
So that's topping out. We're having stones thrown at us at the same time. So we have physical and then we have radio frequency going on. We're hearing sounds. Chris is hearing hearing sounds differently from us. We heard a knock.
Okay.
Chris heard a whoosh, like right next to him. It scared him.
Right.
This is the activity that's going on the first day we're there. So we go home, we regroup. We're going to go back out to the crazy place now, the place that they know that the stuff goes on, the crazy, crazy place. He calls it the Thunderdome is the name.
Oh my.
So we get there, we get in, we go into the Thunderdome, and I fall into the water and I get onto the other side of the bank. And also when we went back and reviewed the tapes that night, something goes, "Hey, look, it's Chris." Whether they're talking about me or talking about Chris Connor,
right?
Said our name plain as day. You could see this. So if anybody's interested on my channel, it's on Discover Sasquatch. The interview is called The Veil, and we show everything firsthand. So they say, "Hey, look, it's Chris." We get into the swamp. Chris tells me this is the place he can ask for knocks. He calls it Knox Creek is another name for it.
Okay.
So he asks for a knock.
Okay.
3 seconds later, something knocks on a tree. All of a sudden, his phone starts being scrolled through, like something's trying to tap into his phone, up and down, trying to get into his work, his pharmacy card, everything, just scanning his phone. It's going crazy.
Whoa.
RF meters topping out again. It's beep, beep. We're getting hit with radio frequency. The knock's going on.
Right.
Says, check your phone. And I just got it 2 weeks prior. There's nobody that knows my phone except for my wife, and Chris has my numbers. That's it. I take it out. I look at my phone, and there's a text going out. Like I typed it to somebody, and it had 4 initials on it. It had BBMC over and over and over again for like 60 lines. So we figured butt dial, it's in your pocket. It's
okay. Right.
So we erased it all but 11 lines. We photographed the last 11 lines and then we erased it all. So we have rocks thrown at us. We had a couple more things happen and then we end up in the swamp. I get back to his house and I take a shower. I get out of the shower. I pick up my phone. I look at my phone. Guess what's back on my phone? MBC. But now it's got a parentheses, capital letters, dots. It is now showing us that this is no butt dial. This is forward. Look at my hair is starting to go straight.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
So we couldn't figure it out. We thought it was some kind of Morse code. We couldn't, what's going on? Are we picking up wave, some kind of signal? And he and his wife comes over and she looks at it. She goes, "I know exactly what that is." And Chris and I's jaws just drop. We're just like, really? We've been trying to figure this out for hours. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Betty, Beata, Mark, and Chris. The first 4 letters of the 4 people that have looked in the swamp for the Sasquatch for the last 10 years. Boom. My head just went, oh my Lord.
Wow. So let me pause you for just a quick second for the listeners and viewers that don't understand. Explain what gifts are. I'm familiar with that, but can you explain what the gift situation is? What is that for?
So with Sasquatch, it's a theory and a lot of people practice it and it has worked. And I did it for 6 years and it works. You find a spot in the forest that they habituate at and you trade with them. You leave them stones, you leave them peanut butter, apples, feathers, little toys. They come, they take them, they leave you stuff like stones and feathers and all that stuff. I had a coyote leg left out of my back door. Freshly ripped.
Your house?
At my house, freshly ripped off the dog. My wife found it. Yeah. I couldn't go back to my gifting area because I had gallbladder surgery, so I wasn't there for a month.
Oh.
So the theory is that they came here and brought me a gift. Now, my gifting area is like 15 miles from here. It's not close, 10, 15 miles. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly.
Right.
But
Right.
it's in the woods over a couple mountains. And it just showed up at my back door one day. It was fresh. I mean, I don't want to get disgusting or
No, I get it. I get it.
it was not pretty.
Yeah.
I threw it in this forest. I went to go get the guys at work because I work where I live. They come down. I want to show them the leg. The leg is gone. Just gone. It was gone. So that's part of the gifting. You know, if it gets really intense, I've had stones left for me. My buddy, where he lives, where we had our gifting area, he would have feathers left for him at his favorite spots. Like he did, he has a wood stove, so they would leave a feather for him at the wood stove and or in a wood pile at his truck door. And it's trading with the Sasquatch. There's gifting, trading, whatever you want to call it. So that's what he was doing at that area. Cause there's a refrigerator out in the middle of the green swamp.
Right.
Like a hurricane brought it in there with the floods, and it just stayed there. And they had a lot of crazy stuff go on there. So you pick a spot and you just keep on revisiting, and it seems to work.
Okay. So let's get back to our story. So you guys are in the swamp. Your wife is explaining what she thinks the initials mean that are typed on your phone. Then what happened?
Right. Chris's wife, explains that. And then our minds are blown. Or just what is going on, you know?
Right.
So I return. I return, and 2 weeks later, I take my group up to my area. I call it Rock Throw Alley.
Okay.
A guy comes down from Mass because he wants to come and see the area that I go to and maybe experience something. So we're on our way up there. We are experiencing stone throws again. You can hear the recordings. They're on my channel too. You can hear the stones come in. And we start going up to the top of the mountain where everything goes on. And all of a sudden, his phone starts going wild on him. It turns on YouTube videos. It's playing YouTube videos. His phone is acting crazy. I'm thinking, is this going to happen again? What happened down before? And now I'm in Connecticut. More. We get to the top of the mountain. That RF meter gets pinned for 15 to 20 minutes, just pinned. Stones are coming from the north, the south, the east, and the west. I mean, not like hundreds of stones, but they're throwing at us. The phone's going crazy. RF meter, the same thing that happened in Florida is now happening in Connecticut 2 weeks later.
Wow. So now what does an RF meter track? Is that a radio signal?
Radio frequencies, yeah. Radio.
So multiple at one time or just one? Just
microwaves, radio. Okay. Yep. So
so in the woods, that would be an unusual place to have frequencies. That's why it's significant. Right. Okay, so what is the purpose of using that in tracking Bigfoot? Why would someone use that?
We're putting into what they use at Skinwalker Ranch. We're following what they're practicing down there, and they were using the radio frequency down there. And so why not try it? See if it works. And that was Chris's idea. Right. And obviously it works. We had a satellite technician reach out to us that was doing this satellite work for 30 years. And he says, if you guys were in a Faraday box, you would be cooked, because there's no way, no how that you should be getting readings anywhere over 12 point something. I forgot, 12.86.
Okay.
Or it was 16 point, it's either 12 or 6. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm all a little.
That's fair.
I'm talking this, I get a little blah, 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 blah. So.
Right. No, I get it. I totally get it.
I don't know the exact numbers, but he says if anything over that, you should not be receiving that in the woods anywhere unless there's a drone over your head or you're in a microwave.
Interesting.
Yeah, he said it's such a broad band. He says there's no way you should be registering those numbers. He looked up our model, he looked up everything and contacted us. So and then after that, so we went out and we got Geiger counters because that's radiation.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That totally makes sense. I'd be scared of am I exposing myself to something? Because who knows?
Right. So what's throwing stones? What's throwing off this radiation?
Yeah.
Is it linked to the Sasquatch? Is it linked to the paranormal? What are the voices we're hearing? What's going on with those? Is that the Sasquatch? Is that the paranormal?
Right. Good questions.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to get answers. And of course we have our hate, we have the people that, put us down and tell us we're crazy and, all that jazz.
I'm used to that. I'm used to that.
Right.
I,
And
I've had a psychic page for a while, and I've been a psychic medium my whole life, and it's a mixed bag. It's either people are really receptive or absolutely not, and they think it's something awful or wicked. And I just have to say that it's one of those things that unless you're experiencing something firsthand, it is hard to relate to. It is very different. It's outside the norm. But it's still what I love though is I love the phrase paranormal because normal's still in there. It's normal for some of us. And like with your experiencing and what your connectivity is with Sasquatch, it sounds like you've got a heightened experience situation happening for you. And I know some more details about some of your Sasquatch work, but I'd love to hear some more of your story. So, after these two big events where you have these links, what were you thinking when you went down to Florida and you had this experience, and then some of it replicated in Connecticut? What was going on in your mind then?
well,
What was
everything changed for me there. They were no longer an ape to me. There was something more to the phenomenon.
okay?
Now we're trying to figure out if it's all linked. If the veil is linked to the Sasquatch, can the Sasquatch, use the veil? Is the paranormal linked to the Sasquatch, or do they all use the same energies? And is it ET? Is it, it just opens up like Pandora's box basically. And,
Right.
it's gotten more and more and more and more. So after I got back from Florida, I had
Mm-hmm.
an attachment.
Okay.
My grandchildren were seeing monsters in the house and actually pointing and scared.
Oh no,
Corner.
that's not fun.
Monsters, monsters, monsters. They would point them out.
Wow.
And then one day I woke up and I had 3 scratches on my inner arm. So I went up when this all was going on, because I didn't know anything about blessing the houses. I didn't know about attachments. This is all brand new to me.
Gotcha.
My
Okay.
buddy Alfred Santariga,
Yeah.
good friend of mine. You guys probably all know who he is.
Yeah. He's a friend of mine too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to his birthday party, and we're sitting at his. We're sitting there, we're having a soda and having some food and talking, and he sees the scratches on my inner arm. He goes, "How'd you get those?" I said, "I don't even know, Al." I said, "I woke up with them like that." And then Maria, my wife, and I started telling him about the babies seeing the monsters, and
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" He says, you have to have your house looked at. You have to have
Yeah.
someone come in. And so he contacted a couple from Deb and Larry. Do you know who Deb and Larry are?
I haven't met him, I don't think.
Okay, so their names are Deb and Larry, and they're exorcists.
Okay.
But they did Al a favor and came to the house. Well, she came and they came to the house, and she says, "Well, it's not demonic, so she can't explain the scratches, but there's a presence here. You walked over an area that you weren't supposed to be at."
Ah.
Ooh, the green swamp. Now I'm thinking the green swamp. We all walked over. So
Okay.
it gets really cool now. She
Okay.
tells me that it's Native American.
Okay.
So they bless the whole house. They leave tobacco outside the house. They do everything, right?
Okay.
They leave. My wife goes, I just can't explain to you, but it's like there's a weight that was lifted off my shoulders after this was all done. And my wife's son and his wife and 2 grandkids live with us.
Okay.
And no more monsters.
Oh, yay.
Monster all gone.
Nice.
I'm down.
That's good news.
Right. And I'm down in my office, and I did, this was just crazy to me. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know this was a real thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
my cat would never come in my office. Ever, ever, ever come in my office.
Okay.
I'm on the phone with Al after they left, thanking him. "Thank you so much for having them come in."
Yeah.
Guess what runs up and jumps on my lap?
Oh.
Cat comes in my office for the first time, jumps up and jumps right on my lap. No lie.
Nice.
So now our house is clean.
Nice.
Our house is clean.
And so now I just have to ask, did they give you some suggestions about keeping it that way.
Yes, I do it myself now. I smudge the
Good.
house and
Okay, good.
yeah. Because
Okay,
I've had them back. I've had them back again more really recently too. I had to.
Okay.
There was I saw my first apparition since I was a baby child. So I guess you were asking me all these paranormal experiences. Now they're all coming back to me, and I'm like, I guess I've had a lot of paranormal
You have.
interactions.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the most recent one.
Okay.
Babies were seeing an old woman up in our bedroom, and they would close the door. They would go up the stairs and they would close my bedroom door all the time. Sarah, my wife's daughter-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
she's like a medium. She can her grandparents were a medium. She can see, and she was seeing this woman, and she thought it was my mother.
Okay.
She was explaining it to her. I said, well, my mother didn't have long hair. My mother always wore short hair, and
right.
it didn't end up being. And we're talking about this at the kitchen table, back and forth, because the little ones are seeing the old, and then she's seen the old lady in the back bedroom. So I turn around, and my entrance to my basement's right there. So I turn around, and boom, right in front of me is a small 5-foot slender blackout figure right in the, look at here, it goes the arm again.
Yeah.
And right in front of me. I'm like, oh my God, Sarah, do you see this?
Yeah.
And it looked alienish to me. It was skinny and thin, but it was just all blacked out. Okay. And then I go, Sarah, do you see that? I turn around, and now it's gone. So I call up, I work with a psychic now. I have I have a psychic medium that I reach out to and I talk to now. Good. And she says, well, you have to go full force and get this one out of the house today. So I went downstairs and I did everything she asked, and I never experienced this either before. I just get done. I put the cross over. The final step that I do is I put a holy water cross over my door, and I open up the door so they can get out. And I'm like, say all my stuff. And now it's time for you to leave. And I'm walking up the stairs, and all of a sudden there's like a shelf that we keep our dryer sheets and everything. All of a sudden, all the stuff just flies off the shelf when I'm walking up the stairs. And then I kept on walking up the stairs because I knew what it was. They weren't happy, but they had it. But the old woman's still here. Nothing else has happened in the basement. So we can't figure out what's going on with the little old lady upstairs. I don't know if she's meant to be here or she's from, my psychic says she could be from next door or two door, because I live in like an apartment complex. So she says you would have to do every unit in your building to keep them out. So it's but she's not harming anything. And the kids really don't mention her too much. They just close the door. So, but they're not afraid to go in the room if we're in there. It's just when they go up to use use the potty or whatever, they have to close the door. So
right. Oh, I get it.
So they're intimidating. Yeah. We've had more visitors here now since I found out about all this other stuff, and we're catching EVPs all the time in the forest. I'm talking midday sunlight. We're catching like top rated EVPs. I had Patty Negri on my show. I do a little show too, podcast. I played them for her, and she's like, oh my God, those are really, really great EVPs. You can hear them perfectly.
Yep. That's great.
So I think something happened to me at the Green Swamp, and they told us, I'm skipping all over the place, and I apologize for this.
That's okay. That's okay.
Because I haven't done an interview in a long, long, long time.
That's okay. You're doing good.
The psychic lady that blessed our house the first time, Deb and Larry, also told me that the three of us would be bonded for the rest of our lives.
Nice.
That was down there. She had no idea there was three of us there. I mean, it was incredible, the stuff that was coming out, and I couldn't believe it. So when I have something weird going on up here, I call down there to find out if they have something going on at their houses. Okay. And most of the time they do.
Yeah.
Did you just see you like?
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I have stuff going on. They have stuff going on. They call me. You got stuff going on down there. They call me to see if I have. So it's kind of like we're all, like she said, we were bonded.
Yeah.
I just wish we knew what we walked across. You know, what was it? Was it a burial ground? Was it, I don't know.
So after our interview, I can go over that with you a little bit. We can talk about that some more, because I have some things that I do that can answer those questions.
All right, cool.
So we can go over that later. But I'm curious too about when you're talking about that you've discovered that you seem to have what I think is like a quickening. Like if you talk about that expression from the movies, it's almost like you've always had these experiences your whole life. And I know that a lot of people that are watching and listening are going to identify with this, because most people have had maybe a small glimpse of something here, or a sensation there, or they heard something, or they smelled something, or maybe there was just a feeling that somebody had. And it takes another event to kind of click in your mind and go, that wasn't an everyday experience. That was different. So you have a normal life, you have a family, you have a job, you're moving along with your life, but these events keep piling up. And so as you're going forward and you're looking into more and more of these things, this wasn't part of what you thought you'd be doing as an adult. This is not something you wake up one morning in high school and go, I'm going to delve into the paranormal today. It just kind of falls in your lap, is my point. And so for people listening and watching, what would you suggest is a good way to kind of stick your toe in the water? Because in your case, you've had a little bit of ghost, you've had a little bit of Sasquatch, and who knows what else you've kind of been involved with. But it sounds like you've had a few poltergeist type situations, and then you're being told that you have psychic connections. That's a lot for one person to experience. Genuinely.
Yeah, no, it is a lot, because I'm starting, and my wife even says, she goes, you're saying things that I'm thinking. She says to me all the time, she goes, she's like, I'm thinking that, and you're coming out and you're saying that. And I'm like, I don't know how to use any of this, and I don't know why, and I don't know if I'm going to. It just happens. And I see glimpses, I see shadow figures. I mean, if I'm driving down the road and I'm a grandfather, I work a full-time job.
Right.
I take care of my bills. I'm a normal person, normal, regular, everyday person that's stepped to this whole other world that's out there, and it's real.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I would tell people to answer your question. That number one, you have to believe that it's real, because it's 100% real. And I never thought I would say those words.
Right.
But it is 100% real.
Right.
People out there that are 100% can control what's going on, or not control, but know what's going on, and can they know how to, I don't know how to word it. They know how to harness it. How's that? Harness. That's a
good word.
Right. So that's what everybody wants to tell. They're telling me that I need to learn how to harness it. I need how to learn to talk to the veil, because these people are they're telling me that they're reaching out to me.
Yeah, they are. Okay. So here's where I'll help you with a little bit of that. So part of what I think people are, when they're learning and experiencing things, is it seems scary, number one, because it's unfamiliar and it's unknown territory. It's stuff, you have representations in movies about the paranormal that are all about shock and awe and all about scary stuff. And a lot of the paranormal is actually quite friendly and kind and loving, and not horrific, and not going to swallow you alive or harm you. There is scary stuff too. There's a little of both. And it's on different frequencies, just like a radio channel. And so in your case, your channel's been clicked to the on position. And so part of what's happening is whatever's around you is now drawn into that energy that you have. And so that is why a lot of things are starting to happen around you, and you're noticing more things because you're tuned in. It's not that they weren't there to begin with. It's that you're receptive to it, and so you're noticing more. And it's kind of reciprocal. So as you're being open and feeling things, you're able to experience more and sense more and see more because they know, oh, he's receptive. His antenna's out. We can approach him. And so that's exciting. To me, I think that's fantastic because it's enriching. It's not something that diminishes your life or makes you crazy. It's literally something that adds to your life. And it's kind of like, for me, it's like the first time if you were to ever see a unicorn, what do you do with that? How do you process that? It's hard to put that and quantify it into regular human terms and regular normal thought processes. It's very unique, but it's also very exciting because the idea that the fantastic is real is kind of cool. It's pretty fun to think that this stuff is actual, tangible, real things that we can get information on and have actual physical evidence about. So I love that you got the rocks and the recordings. All of that's fascinating to me. I love that because for years as a psychic, I've had many experiences and no way to prove anything, other than a reading for someone where they connect with what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand what. Yeah, yeah. It is very cool, and it is a little scary. I'm more scared for my family more than anything. I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want my babies to be scared. That's the
right.
Don't
No,
mess
that's true. Yeah.
with the babies because those are my babies, and nobody's going to mess with them.
Right.
They're only 5 and 3, so they've grown up here. But it is very cool, and it's very real. And she told me my psychic's name is Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that she has never seen an aura of a brighter white than mine.
Nice.
And she also told me that I am a world walker. I don't know what that is, but she says I am destined to go to the dark city. I don't know what that is. So that's trying to prepare me to go to the dark. She says there's going to be people. It's too much. It sounds like a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But that's okay. So what else did she say?
She just says that you're not going to be in any harm when you get there, but you need to go there at some point. She doesn't know when or where or what. Or again, this is what she's saying. I don't know. Right. This isn't what I'm feeling or what I'm hearing. But she's spot on.
Yeah.
She tells me things that nobody ever knows. Nobody knows. How does she know? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how you know they're real. That's how it's real. If she tells you something and that nobody else in this world knows but you,
right?
You have to think twice about it.
Absolutely, you have to think twice. That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So I'm trying to link the Sasquatch world with the paranormal world because I think they all use the same energies. I think the same frequencies. I think are used. I think the same doorways are used. I think that I don't know for sure. This is only a theory. Again, I don't have the Sasquatch handbook. I don't have the normal handbook. Again, this is just me giving you my opinion, my IMO. So it's not, it's not, you got to always tell that to people because then they'll say, well, you're saying that it's fact and got to cover all the bases. I've been around a little bit, Holly. I know.
Yeah, I hear you. It's definitely interesting, but genuinely, most of the people that watch my channel are open-minded. I say it right in the title. It's a paranormal podcast, so.
Right. So that's the second thing I would say to answer your question before, how to put your feet in the water. Is the second thing is to open up your mind, open your third eye, learn how to trust it. Because that's once I started doing that and meditating with the third eye, then things just got bumped up a notch. I had some wild stuff go on that just some really wild stuff that people go ahead.
Have you started documenting and journaling the stuff that you've been seeing and hearing? Good. Okay, That's awesome. Because that's vital. That makes a big difference because I know myself when I've gone back and looked at things, it's like, oh wow. I do seances on Sunday nights and I had my husband just do audio recordings. And I always take notes because I'm a doodler. Like while we're talking, I take notes and scribble. It's just something I've always done. And it's fun to go back and see and read. And now we're doing video stuff. And it's kind of incredible how things come together and fit together to make more sense later. So sometimes you'll get a nugget of information that doesn't really mean anything right now, but maybe in 3 months it will, or maybe next year it'll click into place and make sense. So all the little bits that you collect are all going to mean something and make sense eventually. Right. Definitely.
Now that you brought that up, I remember more about this last blessing of the house. Okay. I was using like a ghost box, a voice box, up in the bedroom, and I got the name Janice, and then after that I got succubus.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So was down in the basement? I don't know. I didn't have any crazy dreams. You know, I don't know if everybody knows what a succubus is, but you would have, like they said, it's sex dreams, or she would come to you and whatever. I don't know. Well, you just did it again. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Does your camera do that often, or is it just doing it tonight?
No, what's interesting, this is really interesting. I'll have to share with my viewers because I haven't said anything. I got a new camera because I couldn't figure out why this would happen. But what's amazing is that I have a hypnotherapy business, and I've done therapy with people for years on camera and never had it glitch. But for some reason, whenever I do paranormal stuff, it starts to glitch. And what's really interesting too is that on a recent episode I did with my husband, where we just talked about some of the work I do with cemeteries, there were over 30 orbs that went in my camera that floated around. And normally there's nothing. I didn't have my air system on. Nothing was moving. Could they have been dust particles? Sure. But then why aren't they showing up on the other episodes?
Right.
I mean, it's just, I'm used to it. There's always unusual things happening around, and it delights me because I have all kinds of stuff happen around me, and it's my normal. It's my life. So it doesn't wig me out anymore. I see things all the time. I hear things all the time, and I just don't say much. It's because it's just there. But yeah, it's not a surprise to me that things are glitching because the energy field changes. I have trouble with my phone frequently, and I can't wear a watch because they get wigged out. I tend to blow up computers and small appliances. I've had that my entire life. I have a lot of static electricity, and that's just part of the frequency my body puts out, I guess.
I say frequency. It's all Tesla was the man. I'm telling you, people look into Tesla. He was the man, and frequency is huge.
Yep. Pretty incredible.
Right. I can play you guys some if you want to hear some.
I would love to hear it. Go for it.
All right. So
where's this from?
This is from Connecticut. These are all from Connecticut. This is all from a place I call Rock Throw Alley.
Okay.
The reason why I call it Rock Throw Alley is got its name because we got the first time we were ever there, we had rocks thrown at us. So it happens often.
So out in the woods is where you recorded this?
This is in the forest. Yep.
Okay.
So Sasquatch is a theory that they have that they knock on trees for communication.
Right.
So what in this recording you will hear a little girl go hee hee, like in a little girl's voice, and then you will hear a knock in the background.
Okay.
So you're getting paranormal again with the Sasquatch physical.
Okay.
So that's why it intrigues me. So here we go. We'll play this one.
Huh? Don't go on that one.
Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the knock? It sounded like a baseball bat. I'll play it one more time. You'll hear the
Yeah, I heard the giggle too.
And then you'll hear that knock.
Huh?
Oh, wow.
Don't go on that one.
So that's pretty cool. This one's the creepy one. This one creeps me out. Now this guy says do it. I'll have a picture of it too. Right there. That's a big. Did you hear the whisper? Do it.
Yeah, do it again.
It's right there. I'll have a picture of it too.
Yeah, that's clear. Wow.
They're all pretty
That's
clear.
a trip.
All right, so the next two, they say help. Now, I'll
Okay.
tell you the story behind this. This is one thing Al brought this one up, so I'll share Al again. Al's a really good friend of mine. So here we go.
Oh, I should slap a little bit of water down freaking lemonade.
That was
So that was right when we got out of the car, right when I turned the recorder on. Did you hear the help?
I did.
At the road before we're going into the forest. Now, an hour and a half later.
Yeah, I heard it. And it sounds like the same voice. It sounds like a young man almost.
It's the same voice. We're an
Yeah.
hour and a half up the trail. Now, I didn't put one and one together because, again, I don't
Right.
think this way. Al
Right.
called me, he says, dude, don't you get it? And I'm like, no, I don't get it. It followed you.
Yeah.
Up the trail.
Yeah.
And it's train. So what's really cool, I got a new video coming out in a couple days.
Okay.
Of the same help this year at a different spot on that mountain. The same exact help.
Okay.
And it's in the video. I don't have it loaded up here. But that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I got a couple more for you. Then I need my mouse. Oops. All right. So we're at this one spot and the girls say they hear a pig snort. I have a little, I have two girls and two guys with me this day. They're part of my team. And they say they hear a pig snort. So I get home, I'm like all excited. They got a pig snort. They heard a pig snort. I'm going to find it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to be able to share it. I got evidence. Well, guess what? It wasn't a pig snort. You'll hear a guy say hello right off when I start, and that's what they hear. And then you'll hear him say hello again. So the hello was the pig snort.
Okay.
I got to do it again. Here we go. It's right off the bat, the first hello.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, they're
Oh,
here. Did you hear that echo?
yeah, that was really unique. Yeah.
Yep. So now the next one, they agree with me. And because we're paying attention to them, probably. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the Sasquatch. I say, well, maybe because they're paying attention to it, and then something goes, mm-hmm. And because we're paying attention to them, probably. So
Wow.
now it even gets even crazier. Now they start mimicking me. They're mimicking my words. You'll hear the rock come in first. So now we have, again, physical activity with paranormal voices. You keep hearing it? Told you. They're here. They're here now. They're here. That last, they're here.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
And you hear the stone coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a cool one. And I got two more for you, and then I'll stop. Unless I can stop now. I mean,
no, you're good. Keep going.
All right, two more. So this is at a different area, and I'm leading the pack, and there's a guy in the back. There's 10 feet in between us. He hears a hey that I don't hear. And then I hear a hey that he doesn't hear. They're two different voices. We're only 10 feet apart, and we're here each individually hearing different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll play it out for you.
You hear that?
No.
It sounded like someone goes, hey, like that.
No.
I'm going to put them up here. Okay, you got to be careful.
Wow, I heard it that time. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I heard the hey.
See?
I just heard that right here.
Yeah.
Like it was right in my ear. Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is. Wow.
Yeah, and that's out Sasquatch. That's when we're out in the woods looking for Sasquatch.
Right. Well, you're getting communicated with, the list sounds like.
Yep.
That's amazing. So how often do you do these types of research things
As
out in the woods?
as often as I get, I have hours of audio that I need to go through. I mean, this is just audio from September, one outing, and just spots that I checked. I haven't even checked through the whole audio yet.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
what is your goal? What are you working to find other than just evidence for yourself, or what do you want to do with what you're doing?
What I want to do is raise awareness. That's
Okay.
100% real.
Okay.
Sasquatch are 100% real. The paranormal world is 100% real, and you need to be aware of it while you're out doing your thing in the forest.
Right.
I don't. People hike alone all the time. I mean, I just don't believe in it anymore. I wouldn't myself go hiking by myself. My wife won't even step in the woods anymore after the stuff that's happened here.
Oh.
We've had so much go on. I could come back and tell you the craziest story you've ever heard in your life of with the Sasquatch and her and blacked out chopper. And we had a blacked out chopper over our house a little while ago. That was a pretty intense situation.
Yeah.
But awareness is what I'm after. I had a friend named Kerry Arnold, and he was a very good friend of mine, dear friend, and he passed away suddenly in a car accident. And
Sorry to hear that.
his main thing was awareness. He just wanted to spread awareness. So that's my main goal, is people to be, because Sasquatch could be 5 feet away from you and you would never know it.
That's right.
Never know. And I don't know. Everybody has a bad day too. I don't know if they're all good. I don't know if they're all bad. I don't know that, but I'll tell you, they're real.
Yeah.
If you believe me or not, I'll tell you right now, it's 100% real. If you don't believe, I just played you recordings from the forest, from the veil. That's from the veil. That's from the other side. Those are spirits, ghosts. I don't think that's Sasquatch. I don't know.
Right. Right.
So awareness is what I'm after. I love interaction. I'm an interaction junkie. I travel all over the place. I went to Snowgrove Lake last year in Canada. Up in nowhere, and we had stuff happen up there too. Experienced a thunder knock that I named. It sounded like 2 30-foot trees knocked together, and then we felt it hit our chest 3 times after the sound waves. Boom, like the waves of the ocean hitting you on.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Afterwards, like an after.
Wow.
So like I said, it happens everywhere I go. I don't know if it's to be happy about it, it's a curse, or I think it's pretty. I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
It sounds like it.
But I don't want to give anybody any misinformation, because I am just a novice. I do not know anything about the paranormal side of it. Like you guys heard through this whole thing, I can't help you with any of that stuff. To just know it's real. I don't know how to control it. I know how to smudge my own house, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I'm excited about that. So if somebody wants to watch what you're doing on YouTube or elsewhere, how do they find you?
All right. You can go find me on YouTube at Discover Sasquatch. I have a Facebook group on YouTube. I have a Facebook group on YouTube.
I was with you in thought, and then I went, wait a minute, where are we going? Okay.
No, I'm still, I get wound up. I won't be able to sleep tonight after talking about all this stuff. I'll be thinking about it all night long.
Yeah.
A Facebook group on Facebook, and it's called Discover Sasquatch, but it's private. So you're not going to go in there. You're not going to be, there's a bunch of great people in there. You're not going to be harassed. You're not going to be anything. Everybody has a voice in there. Just let it be your own. Don't try to make your voice somebody else's, because nobody knows. Nobody has the answers. Nobody knows what a Sasquatch is. Nobody knows what a ghost is. Nobody really knows, but they can all have their own opinion, and that's welcomed.
Right. Nice. That is awesome.
And then I do a podcast on Monday nights at 8:00 Eastern on the Untold Radio Network. And that's called Discover Sasquatch. And that's on Doug Hychek's channel from Monster Quest. And that's about me. And the rest of the time, you can find me working at Litchfield Garden Apartments in Winsted, Connecticut,
Okay.
and being a grandpa and loving every minute of that. And
Nice.
that's
Very
it. That's me.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I sure appreciate you coming on tonight and chatting with everybody and sharing your stories with us. This has been a blast, Chris. And hang out once we say goodbye. I'm going to chat with you for just a minute afterwards. But thank you, everyone who is listening and following. And please hit the like button and follow. If you like this content, there'll be lots more where this came from. Thank you guys for listening. And thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium.